12 News at 10. Today, the NTSB releasing its preliminary report on the deadly mid-air collision between American Airlines Flight 5342 and a helicopter over Washington, D.C. They killed 67 people.
The report's showing major concerns with helicopter flight routes surrounding the airport and big recommendations to make that airspace safer. Rachel Hallam joins us with everything we know at this hour. Rachel?
Rachel, after their investigations found more than 15,000 close encounters between planes and helicopters over the D.C. airport in a little more than 3 years, the NTSB now giving 2 urgent recommendations to the FAA to make that airspace less congested.
How did the FAA not know? How did they not study the data to say, hey, this is a hot spot, we're having near misses, and if we don't change our way, we're going to lose lives?
The NTSB's preliminary report of the deadly mid-air collision of American Airlines Flight 5342 and a Black Hawk helicopter shows a major issue over the D.C. airport.
The existing separation distances are insufficient and pose an intolerable risk to aviation safety by increasing the chances of a mid-air collision at DCA.
Jennifer Homendy with NTSB gave 2 urgent recommendations to the FAA. 1, prohibit the use of the specific route the Black Hawk helicopter took, while runways 15 and 33 are also in use for arrivals and departures. And 2, use an alternative route, something the U.S. Department of Transportation already put into effect and says will remain.
About 36 hours after the crash, we restricted this airspace, and we're going to continue with those restrictions.
All with the hopes of preventing similar tragedies.
We're going to make sure we've learned from this air disaster, and we're going to pay it forward so there's not other families that have to go through the pain and anguish of losing a loved one like these families had to go through.
The NTSB says next steps in the investigation include simulations and digging into the data captured inside the aircraft. The focus now won't just be on the airspace around Reagan Airport, but an evaluation of other major airports across the country.
The question is, how many airports around the country do we have this type of a dangerous proximity situation going on day in, day out? Are we going to take some action there too?
Homendy continues to emphasize this is only a preliminary report. The investigation is ongoing, and this is all the information they can validate and release at this time.
Rachel, Kansas lawmakers are reacting to the preliminary report tonight. That includes Senator Jerry Moran. Senator Moran saying in part, while this report provides some clarity, I know that nothing will take away the pain felt by the families of the victims, and I continue to pray for the Kansans and all Americans who are grieving the loss. Moran says he is holding a hearing to examine the NTSB's preliminary findings. That hearing set to happen Thursday, March 27th at 10 o'clock. At the hearing, Moran says he and the subcommittee will work to determine policy changes to prevent future tragedy.
Make sure you join us tomorrow night at 9:30 on the KSCW for a special 30-minute program. Fact Finder investigators highlight what we know so far in the investigation into the Flight 5342 mid-air collision. We also sit down with the former NTSB board member who offers his suggestion on what needs to change following the crash.